This is the Libertarian Investor with a very special video here, kicking off a series that I'd like to start for the benefit of our subscribers and for our channel. And the question is, what is holding you back? We talk a lot about politics, about the state of the world, even about investments. But the greatest constraint, the greatest bottleneck in your journey to self-fulfillment is what libertarianism is all about. It's what investing is all about. The greatest bottleneck in that journey is you. It's yourself. It's your constraints. It's the traps that you're in. What kind of life are you living, and what kind of life do you want to live? On the Libertarian Investor, we want to help you get there. We want to discuss these ideas, and we know that business and investing are great tools in getting you there. But as a great person said, if you don't know where you're going, you're highly unlikely to get there. And what is holding you back? So I wanted to start this series of short videos on a great book by a great libertarian mentor, Harry Browne. And Harry Browne was a libertarian candidate for president of the United States in the late 90s. Before that, he was a businessman and investment advisor. He wrote some great books. One of my favorites is How to Sell Anything. And we'll talk about that book as well. It just goes into a natural form of selling that's almost always successful. The book that we're going to be talking about in the next series and today is called How I Found Freedom in an Unfree World. It is, to me, the greatest guide in the English language of how to live free, because he goes into, first of all, what are your traps? And there are several traps that we fall into. What are your brakes? What's holding you back? And then he goes into methodologies and modalities for how to actually live a freer life. And despite the fact that this book was written in the 70s, a lot of these ideas still hold, and the ones that don't, we have modern counterparts that we'll talk about. I think this book needs to be modernized and commented on, but you have to read this book, and I want to start a discussion about it. Right now, I just want to talk about the first part of the book, where he goes into the question, why you're not free. I know a lot of libertarians talk about freedom, but a lot of them are not free. And I believe one of the hugest forms of freedom, one of the most important forms of freedom is financial freedom. You have to get financially free. That doesn't mean being rich. I'm not rich. What that does mean is having control over your time, having control over, in at least the majority of your day, what you want to do, and not being in abusive and constrictive relationships. A lot of us are in relationships because we're afraid of what the consequences would be if we got out of those relationships. And some of the traps they discuss is I just want to very quickly skim these in this video, and we'll discuss some in future videos. But there's identity traps. And these are basically traps of thinking that other people have to conform with your identity. It's one of the biggest mistakes, and it's what libertarianism basically inoculates you against. People aren't going to do what you want to do. People aren't going to do what you want them to do because they're individual units. They're their own identity. And again, if you study Austrian economics, libertarianism, you'll know methodological individualism and methodological singularism. You have to deal with things as they are. And yes, you can persuade people. You can try to change people's minds, but don't hold your breath on it. Don't count on it. So you have to deal with people as individuals. And so you have to ask yourself, what does this person want? And you have to offer something that they want if you want something from them. These are basic things, but they're things that people for years and years aren't able to wrap their minds around or aren't able to practice. Another aspect of the identity trap is trying to be someone you're not. So people might try to dress up in a way that they think other people want them to dress up as. People try to work in jobs that they don't love for money. And in the long run, that is a pathway to depression, pathway to stress, and a pathway to not being able to live the life you want. And of course, there are intellectual and emotional traps. And these are traps where people either think they have to follow their intellect and suppress their emotions, or they follow their emotions and forget their intellect. Both ways lead to minimized freedom and liberty. And this channel is all about maximizing your liberty. And then the morality trap, where you think you have to follow someone else's morality. No, you have to come up with your own code of morality You need to know what it is, but you don't have to follow some religious morality or some social morality. You choose your own morality, again, that's suited to you as an individual. The unselfishness trap, again, we have a great book that probably we'll discuss as well on this channel by Ayn Rand called The Virtue of Selfishness. And Adam Smith described it well, where he said that, the businessman who tries to maximize his utility, his selfish profit, is actually serving the whole, and it leads to specialization and so on. So by serving yourself, guys, you're serving the whole. That's how God made it. That's how the universe works. Trying to serve others and trying to do good for others, as C.S. Lewis well taught about, actually leads to tyranny and actually leads to you feeling unfulfilled. So you do you, as they say, and be selfish. And if that leads to serving others, which it will, you'll do it joyfully. And as Marcus Aurelius said, the bee serves, but he does not think he's serving. If you think you're serving others and you're trying to do it, then you're not doing it. And then, of course, there's the group trap, that you have to follow some kind of group. Government traps, the despair trap, thinking, oh, I can never do it. Your power is incredible. And your power within your own zone of influence is incredible, but it's like a muscle. You have to practice it. We will discuss that. The utopia trap, thinking that the world is going to become some kind of utopia. This world is never going to get fixed. We're never going to be living in a libertarian utopia. You have to create that utopia in your life. And with the tools that we're going to talk about, you can do that. The burning issue trap. Oh, I have to dedicate myself to some issue. You don't have to dedicate yourself to an issue. You don't have to resist the government, resist the law. You in your own life can maximize your liberty. And ironically, that's where you're going to have the most influence on society. But you can't start by trying to influence society when you have no personal power. The previous investment trap. Oh, I've invested so much in this marriage, I have to stay in this marriage. That is sunk costs. No, you need to make a cut for it, and you need to free yourself. The box trap, where now you believe I'm in a box, I can't get out of this box. The certainty trap. And of course, you can be free. We're going to be discussing these one by one, guys. But these are all traps that these are the bottlenecks that are limiting your freedom. If you want to be free, you have to figure out how to get out of these traps. You got to figure out the price that needs to be paid, and then you've got to resolve yourself to pay it. You're going to be seeing more freedom than you've ever seen before in your life. So I'm looking forward to this discussion on how I found freedom in an unfree world. Until very soon, guys, this is Javier with the Libertarian Investor, wishing you a wonderful week.